So, good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'm going to tell you a story about discovery, about conservation, and about share. When I realized that I had to do a TED-style talk, I was in the middle of the writing of my master's dissertation, and without much time to prepare this. So I was kind of thinking about improvising. I remember that same night, I went to a friend's house, and after sharing some laughs and wine, I told them that I had to prepare a TED-style talk, and that as I didn't have much time to prepare it, I was thinking about improvising. So they gave me two advices. The first one was, Julián, by no means improvise your talk. And the second one was, in order to do a good talk, try to make a parallel between your life and the message you want to share. Perfect, I thought. So I remember that the next morning, I wrote my family back in Chile asking for pictures of myself being in nature before I was 18 years old. And the result was this. I only got 3 pictures. So, and coming from Chile, I could even have had the natural deficit disorder without my parents even knowing. So that was really weird for me. And I started questioning myself. So if I don't come from a family that is really related to nature, and no one has shown me nature before, where did my love from nature come from? I don't know, that's a question that was there for like 4 or 5 years. So then when I was 17 years old and I was old enough to travel by myself, I did hitchhiking travel 1,000 kilometers south to Chile, from Santiago, the capital of Chile, to the Isles of Chiloé with some friends. And I remember that trip as beautiful because I have the opportunity of being in different national parks and get to know different rivers, wildlife, and things I haven't seen live never before in my life. But still, that dream about doing something useful for nature conservation was still far away. When I left school, I had to pick the career I wanted to study. And then I picked agronomy. But I didn't pick agronomy because I like GMOs or I like raising cattle, as is the major productivist focus of developing countries' agricultural schools. But I picked agriculture because it was a career that would let me be more outdoors than inside an office behind closed walls. So while studying agronomy, I met one of my really best friends whose family has a really close relationship to nature. They have lived all their lives in the countryside, and I've often got invited to that place. So I remember while being there, we did long day horse riding trips across the Andes with the elders and the local community. And I think that was kind of a tipping point in my life because I got to learn how the local communities, while we were riding horse, and they knew that I was interested, they started saying to me, look, Julián, this plant has this name and it's useful for this. This one has this name and you can use it for this. And that for me was like awesome. Like, I want to be like them, I said. So after that, I started studying plants. I bought my books and I started reading, going outdoors and looking for my plants and start reading them. And I remember the one day came when one of these elders locals came to me and asked me, hey, Julián, do you know which plant is this? And I was like, yeah, I know, it's this one, and you can use it for this. So for me, that a local asked me, that I come from Santiago without much contact with nature, asked me what a plant that he has lived all his life with was like one of my proudest achievements in life, maybe more than earning a scholarship or get accepted at a good university. So yeah, that was awesome for me. And it's not about a competition. It's just because I knew that as he knew I was interested, he knew that his knowledge was already shared. So now it was on my hand to share that knowledge that he gave to me. So while being at university, I crossed upon different ways of valuing nature. So that's what the question I was wondering myself like 4 years ago. And I'm not talking about this economist invention about putting a monetary value on ecosystem services. No, I don't think nature is something that could be tradable or had like a materialistic value, like if its nature was a commodity. I'm talking about the intrinsic value of nature, the value that nature has per se because of its existence, because of being there. Like, if you ask a botanist, why did you start studying plants? They're probably going to tell you, because I like plants, because they are beautiful, because I have a connection with them. So, yeah, I realized that that was my thing. Like, I like nature because it was there. So, what happens to me with nature is that I have an emotional connection with it, and I want others to have the same possibility as I did to develop that emotional connection with nature. Nature is something that makes me really happy. And as you can see in these pictures, there is a pattern that is repeated. Of course, it's me on those pictures in different places of Chile, but in all of them, I'm with a smile. I don't know, I'm really happy. I'm different in the city than when I'm in nature. So while at university and after I started studying plants, I became a teaching assistant of the courses Wildlife Management, Native Wildlife, and Forest Ecology, from which I got to learn and understand the scientific background of conserving biodiversity and nature. Even though I understand them now and I think they are really interesting, I don't think that's a good approach if we want to involve more people into nature conservancy. I remember when I was walking in the forest in Chile, I wasn't looking at a tree and saying, oh, look, that's a quillay, Quilleja saponaria, an endemic tree from the Sclerophilus forest in Chile. You know, you just don't do that. So I started questioning myself. Now that I know why I love nature, then why am I doing conservation? And the answer was right there. It's because I have this emotional attraction, and I want others to have the same possibility as I did to develop that attraction. So even though in Chile we have lots of natural wonders and lots of different ecosystems and biodiversity, doing effective conservation in Chile is a really difficult task. Like, if you do a quick survey and ask people about the Eiffel Tower, if they know what the Eiffel Tower is, most of the people will say, yeah, it's a tower that is in France and it's really beautiful. But on the other side, if you ask them if they know where the Torres del Paine are, which it has been proposed as one of the 8 natural wonders in the world, they might not know, and it's in the south of Chile. And it's really sad, the story about these national parks, because, I don't know, from the visits, about 70% of the visits come from around the world, and just 30% of the visits come from Chile. The same happens if you ask those people if they know the alerce tree, which is a native tree from Chile and Argentina that has been subject to live more than 3,000 years old. Like, imagine if those trees could talk, all the things that they could say to us. And it's true, in Chile we don't have the Eiffel Tower, we don't have the Big Ben, we don't have the Coliseum, but we do have hectares and hectares of native forests. We have mountains, we have glaciers, and a whole list of natural wonders that it would take me much more than 50 minutes to list. So the invitation I want to make you is that you don't love what you don't know, and you do not care for what you don't love. So what I want you to do is to involve as much people as we can, because nature is something that belongs to everyone. Nature is a source of happiness that does not discriminate between ethnicity, skin color, social classes, or even with borders. So my invitation, and to wrap up this small presentation, is that the origins of our work as conservationists didn't start with our scientific background. It started because we have that one point when someone showed us nature and we got impacted with it. So yeah, my invitation is for you all to try to start using this intrinsic value in our conservation debates, and to try to involve as much people as we can in this love for conservation and for nature, in order to have a better understanding of what nature is, and to have a better nature conservation. Thank you very much.